It's Tuesday night, 10 p.m., and this is the C3 Podcast.
I guess you've heard of my reputation. I've had my share of fooling around. But everybody needs stimulation.
I had fun, man. Just out, you guys joking. We working at the same time. Putting the work in as a team. Like I said, man, I'm just glad to be with the guys.
My favorite night of the week.
Good Lord, it's a good day to be a Panthers fan. And we the best. You heard them. You heard them say it. We are the best, Joe. And we put it on them right in the mouth.
Yo, what's up, Panther fans? It's your boy, the Professor, a.k.a. Tony Dunn, and this is the C3 Podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night, Panther fans unite. And we have a fantastic show tonight. This has to be the best title, Joe. If loving Gettleman is wrong, I don't want to be right. Episode 16.30, Joe. We'll be kicking butt. It's Tuesday night. Joe Riolano, introduce yourself.
I am Joe Riolano, a.k.a. that freaking Puerto Rican. I am so thrilled to be here Tuesday night. It's going to be a fun episode. We've got a lot in store. We've got tons to talk about. So I'm going to toss it over to our main man, our voice in Charlotte, because he's around and about and doing everything in town. He's got his own podcast. He's living in the heart of the Queen City. So he is our contact, our main man from the homeland. It is T-Money. What's happening, T-Money?
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. T-Money 1993, a.k.a. Straight Facts in the building. Had to show up and help my guys out. Your boy more clutch than Reggie Miller, man. I'm here.
That's right, last minute ninjas. I know I get them last minute invites from you too. Rolling hot. Everybody, guys, has been working hard, and we working our jobs and our lives. And we came in rolling hot tonight, like at 9:55, just right in here. So, hey, look, if you like the C3 Podcast, if you're a Panther fan, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. That'll help us out. Give us a share. That's how you can help us most. You can participate in the show using the hashtag C3, and like us on iTunes or whatever you do. Guys, it's time to jump into this show right away. Big news today. The biggest free agent acquisition in the history of mankind happened today. Dave Gettleman, or yesterday, I guess, whenever it was, traded for Andy Lee, a punter. Fourth round. It's going to change the whole dynamic of the NFL. I mean, the world, Joe, has shifted since this selection and this move. What do you think about it?
Well, I think it's something we needed to do. You hate giving up a fourth-round pick, but the guy is a Pro Bowler. He has been tops in the league for a couple of years now, and it's a fourth-round draft pick for a Pro Bowler is a fair deal. A punter. He's able to flip the field. He's going to help our defense out in a big way, which in turn is going to help our offense out. So I like the move. I think it's going to put to rest a big headache that Gettleman and Rivera had. Now all we have to do is get downfield to tackle and stay in our coverage lanes. That's gonna be what we have to focus on now. The kicker is squared away.
Yo, Money, what did you think about this move? All right, so the way I see it is this. Is we all knew that there was a punter problem. Everybody knew that this was the issue. We knew it was when Nortman was gone, and Nortman wasn't even that great last year or so.
Right.
We knew that this was going into this was an issue, and then you get Cypress or whatever his name is he's hurt the whole time. He was hurt coming in. It seemed like then you go out in some strange move and get this you had Patrick Swayze or whatever his name was, and now you go out and get Red Fern Gully or and like all these no-name guys. It's clear that it's a problem. And then Money, he goes out and trades a fourth-round pick decisively to go get this punter. But then today, like, 2 punters are cut that are in the top, whatever. What do you think about this? Overpay? How did you react, T-Money?
I'm not that big into the overreacting business. My whole thing is it's for 2018. And come on, you know Gettleman, I know Gettleman. If you don't think Gettleman's gonna find a 4th-round pick or better by 2018, because when has he ever just let his picks be his picks? We either get rid of them or we add some anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
he seems there's compensatory picks that he always seems to have laying around.
And he's a wheeler dealer. You know, he likes to make moves.
You're right, but he always makes the little back room. It's almost like if he was playing poker. Like he's just trying to. What he does is he just hangs around and waits, and he's making these little these small moves, just waiting and waiting and waiting, and he's just kind of hustling the guys in the background. You know, I
Gotta
mean,
play
if you think about,
chestnut checkers in this NFL, man.
yeah, he's like, all right, so you do, but then there's the guy that's cut from Denver today that everybody knew was coming. So here it erupted today into a discussion. Like right now, there is a discussion going on Twitter among Panther fans, and that we or some of us over support Dave Gettleman. And like we're not going to make a big deal out of this move. Let me ask you, Money, are you a Dave Gettleman defender in this? Like you're not upset, you're not overreacting. Are you a Dave Gettleman lover?
I think he showed me enough to why question his moves. First of all, you got to remember where we came
Amen,
from
brother. Amen.
with Hurney. I mean, we couldn't draft anything besides in the first round. We were overpaying, giving running backs 60, 70 million a pop. And he's got us in a good spot right now. And team-wise, every time you question his move, I mean, 2013, everybody questioned, their secondary has Drayton Florence, Quentin Michael, who we have, Melvin White. And
what about, let me float these names out to you, though. Thomas Deku, Antoine Cason. So that's just saying, I mean, in the same breath, while we're going to let you say that year he put it together, the next year,
don't act like Cason and Deku didn't give us half a year though. They were good for half a year. They just when the wheels fell off, they fell off. But by that time, Josh Norman was back ready to start it.
Yeah,
I mean, by that time,
Norman
Norman was ready. I mean, just look at how many moves they've made. That is like, you could have questioned. Like, who else would have gave Thomas Davis another contract?
Marty Hurney.
Any other?
I mean, Marty
Hurney would have got tired of it.
He'd give a contract to any of our boys. Like, I mean, he just hooked everybody up, and that's fine. Like, I was cool. I'm not upset with Marty Hurney. Where I get upset was not with the contracts for Marty Hurney, and I don't want to talk about him too long, but it was those. See, he couldn't do what Gettleman does, which is kind of score in the background. You know, as Dave Gettleman is hitting on his first-round picks very much so, just like Hurney. Hurney hit on all his first-rounders.
It was everything after that.
Yeah, it was in the deep round like you would get on Ronnie Edwards, and it just didn't pan out. It was such a waste. It just didn't work. Okay, so moving on.
And that year we didn't have a first, and he took Clausen and Everett Brown.
Yeah. So here's where we're at on this trade for a punter. I think we're all actually on the same page in sentiment, and that is that Gettleman overall he's batting 4 for 5 right now as a GM. You know, I mean, he's won every. I mean, has he? Yeah, maybe he's missed a little bit on some things, but nothing significant. We've won an NFC championship. We've won the division over and over. We've gotten better as an organization. We have. I mean, this has got to be the most optimistic time as a Panther fan ever. So why are we have to know something? to some effect that he did not want to risk. We can't say that Dave Gettleman is dumb enough to not know that these guys would be getting cut. He had to know something is going on.
I mean, actually, with Colquitt from the Broncos, they were talking about we were interested in trading for him. So it had to be Gettleman making that conscious decision to not do that. And I mean, what would have happened then? I'm sure people would have been mad if we traded for him and then we found out they were going to cut him anyway.
What about this? Maybe we got to think that maybe Dave Gettleman is edgier than we give him credit for, and maybe he don't want to mess around with the Broncos. Maybe he doesn't want to do anything to help their organization. We got to play him this year.
That's why I don't understand why they would trade a
vendetta against the Broncos. That would be awesome.
I don't understand why. I think that would say to me, how bad is this punter that Denver knows we have to play them in the first game, but they're willing to give him to us? How good can he be?
Well, that's an interesting point. But I heard this is the guy that from the Browns. I heard that and it was Nathan Conley that tweeted this, and he's kind of, he's going to take the rubbing side of whatever argument goes against the Panthers a little bit. And
a lot of them at WFNZ aren't Panthers fans.
Right. So, and that's fine. That's cool. But the point is that he said that this guy wasn't the best punter on the Browns team. So,
I mean, Colquitt wasn't
the fourth rounder, but then you're like a fourth rounder for a backup on Cleveland. That was his point. And I mean,
I don't know if that's the case.
Okay. All right, so moving on from this punter situation, which actually here's where let's put a good spin on it. So what we've talked about is the negatives, the possibility of us overspending, overtrading, whatever the way you want to phrase it. But one thing that we have seen, or this may indicate, is some decisiveness from Dave Gettleman about this season. If you think about the years where he invested, where he said we're going to try Byron Bell out, right? We're going to try to float these guys and see what happens. The idea that he wanted to shore up this without any hesitation, without any question, Joey, and is a decisiveness about this season. Like now that maybe he's thinking that this year is a year that you can't play around with.
You mean like a throwaway year?
No, like you can't. Like this year is.
He's saying the opposite of that. Like we can't waste this year.
Right. For sure.
This is a win now move, and we don't usually see Dave Gettleman win now, like that mentality. Is that he's usually like trying to play the long game. Right. But the idea that you go after a punter with such authority, he knew that this was an important part of the game and we couldn't mess around. But here's my next question then. And Money, I'll turn this one over to you, is that we've brought in 3 safeties. We've brought in Dante Whitner, we brought in somebody from Brown. Stevie Brown from the Giants, and then most recently Major Wright, who today, an awesome story, kind of broke on Twitter and then was completely retracted, and then C3 got in there and made it all worse because I saw Big Money's tweet about it, and I said, this is my source. I don't ever report news, and I got a source right here. And and Big Money had said that Major Wright had indicated that Major Wright signed with the Carolina Panthers. What do you think about all this safety stuff? I mean, it's got to be a big deal, right, Money?
WFNZ is getting on my nerves with acting like, oh my God, it's supposed to be the replacement for Trey Boston. I definitely don't agree with that. I think they're solidified with Trey Boston as a starter. You know me as a Carolina fan, I've been rocking with Trey, man. And even the reasons why I don't understand. LeGarrette Blount jumped over him. LeGarrette Blount's been doing that since he was at Oregon. Like that whole jumping thing, he was doing that when he was with
It's
Tampa.
nothing new. Yes, you're right.
Like
Nothing
Trey
new.
Boston's not the first person to get jumped over. And
Mm-mm.
I didn't
It's
want
not
Whitner.
that. You know what the problem with Trey Boston is? It's just an inconsistency, man. It's nothing like, yeah, he shows like a lot of the talent. He does this, but he doesn't look like he doesn't look like he's becoming the guy.
Yeah,
How bad? I mean, but how good does he have to be better than Roman Harper, though?
right.
Okay. All right. Well, I won't argue with that.
Yeah. You got Roman was in that spot last year.
I think another thing is he's young. You know, he hasn't been on the field a whole heck of a lot. So let's play him this year. Let's see where we're at, you know, come week 10. You know what I'm saying? I think
And
he'll
again,
have
when we gave him a chance, he's been making plays.
he
Whether
has
it's
made plays.
the Seattle game,
Mhm.
I think he had a pick in the Cardinals game.
Hold on. Let's not act like he's just been burning it up. He's missed a lot of plays. Like you would say, look, here's the thing. You put him out there. If you threw this out on the field, if you threw him, Colin Jones together on the field at the same time, you know that you don't feel good. And that could be a possibility if you think about it. Like if something were to happen.
How?
Well, what I'm
I don't
saying
like Colin Jones anyway.
is what happens though if something were the case where Trey Boston had to assume, say, the leadership role of that kind of secondary? There is what if there was an injury or something? You don't want him to be like just good enough to not be a liability.
I don't think we would ever start Trey Boston and Colin Jones together. I could see
I know,
Trey
but
Boston.
what if there was an important injury? Say Kurt Coleman got injured. What would you do?
I would put Shaq Thompson in that safety with Trey Boston before Colin Jones.
Well, that's what you do when you play Madden. But yeah,
exactly.
You have to bring out Jeremy Cash maybe. But my point is this: is that he is a third-year player in the league, right? Going into his fourth.
Yeah. Him and Benet in the same class.
So, can he assume? Is he looking like he can become the guy that is a starter on the team? That's a question I don't know if I'm ready to answer yet. But then, here, think about this, is that we bring in Whitner, we bring in this. How big of a concern is the depth at this position, Joey, or are there any other positions that stick out to you right now as these people are getting cut throughout the league?
Definitely, safety, yes, that was a concern. I think, we have some injuries that have taken place, so we do need to get some support there. Receivers were fine. Tight ends were okay. Maybe defensive line, maybe defensive end, some help there.
Money, this is another position that has been a big deal for people and that are talking about this, trying to predict these roster moves, is defensive ends and also offensive tackle. Money, which one are you more concerned about?
Tackle.
That's it.
But that's
all right, tell us why. Because is it because Michael Orr is so critical?
No. Yeah, that's one thing, but
I like it.
Y'all know I'm more of I'm not a supporter of Mike Remmers like that.
Right.
And
not to say you're anti-Remmers, you just don't think he's up to.
I'm not a supporter of him.
Right. You're not up to par. He's not up to par.
Okay, so but then there's the other thing is that Williams does not to be the savior that people were trying to predict right away. He
looked really bad when I saw him play.
We know this is that if Michael Orr were to go down, this team would be toast. And that's bad to say. I mean, he's a good player, but I question if anybody could play that position on the team.
I think we would sign Will Beatty.
Yeah, I would agree.
Right
And I
away.
think we're probably waiting on someone to get cut from another team to bring in and kind of, run through the process.
Wait a minute. Can we have a moment of silence? Thank God the David Falco experiment is over.
Oh, yes.
Just have a moment for that. Thank God. Thank God. I've been ready for him to go to the Philly game 2 years ago.
Okay. So let's talk about then. That's a good point. Let's talk about the cuts that were made. T-Money, so Foku got cut. Tell us, Stephen Hill, the Stephen Hill
experiment is over.
That one, man, let's have a moment of silence for that because Tony is saddened by that. I was rooting for I was on the Stephen Hill train the whole time.
I was rooting for it too. I mean, but at the end of the day, if you're not healing right, you're not healing right.
I know. You can. Yeah, that was all injury right there. Okay, so any other that stuck out to you?
Thank God Braxton Deaver is gone. Dever, whatever the freak his name is. Y'all with y'all infatuations, man. Every offseason. I was just ready for him to go because of that. Thank God. What's the other position y'all do every year? Oh, what's that dude y'all wanted to be the fullback?
Oh,
not Rocket. He's been cut for a minute. Lee Ward. That's who we wanted back in the day last year.
Yeah, both of them I was ready to see go.
He's talking about that LaRon dude. What was his name? The dude from Marshall.
Marshall, yeah.
Yeah. Rocket.
Any fullback not named Mike Tolbert can get shown the door. Honestly, I don't care who it is.
So I heard this. I heard, speaking of Mike Tolbert, somebody was telling me, or I was listening on the radio or something, they were talking about how Mike Tolbert, they described him as a guard. They said Mike Tolbert looked like a guard out there playing fullback.
He ain't that big. He's not even tall enough to be a guard.
That's what they said. Like he was that big around. His feet are alive though. His feet are alive. You know,
Mike Tolbert maybe. You know, since he started doing that UFC and boxing and all that, he look a little bit more lean.
It was Devon Johnson legacy.
Yeah.
Or Devin. Thank you. All right. So, no. Where do you think the cuts? I don't know. I don't even really know what to say going into the fourth game of the season. Some people are talking
somebody
about
saying Will Beatty went. Somebody saying Will Beatty went back to the Giants. I didn't hear that.
Oh, yeah, I didn't hear that he went back. I heard we got rid of him, but I didn't know he went back.
Yeah. What I was saying, some people are talking about the Panthers could be playing their starters in the fourth game. Did you hear that, man?
I did hear that Ron Rivera had not out.
No way, right?
Technically they can't because it'll kill the ratings as well. Can't say such and such a sit down.
You're exactly right. I heard that a while back ago, and that made a lot of sense. So Ron Rivera, he can't come out and say that specifically because then everybody knows that the final game of the preseason is
don't watch it, don't buy tickets.
Right, don't buy tickets. That's exactly right because then you can't say that it's because they're charging.
Ain't making their money.
Yeah, they're charging.
So like the NBA, and they don't want when Greg Popovich sits Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge, he can't announce that before the game.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean that. How do you take that out of the ticket price?
Right. Then you get in free.
Yeah, that's now actually you're just what you're doing is you just sold tickets to a local gym. Why? That's what it is. Right. You took all the stars.
It's
out of the basketball game.
Sort
Hey,
of
I
like
just
back in the day when we used to go. They used to give us the free back to school game for the
yes,
Hornets or the
yes,
Bobcats, and you go and like the other team stars not playing. Like I remember one
right.
year they played the Heat and we went. And this is when Shaq was on the Heat, and Shaq didn't play not 1 minute. We were so
Oh,
bad.
what was the point of that, right?
Oh yes, that's the worst. And this is unrelated to sports, but I went to what was it? A concert one time, and it was not. I've been to see Bob Dylan and who sings "Rockin' in the Free World"? Help me out.
I have
Um,
no clue. You
I
asking
know you ain't
Joe?
gonna know this. Hold on, I'm asking Joe. I know it's anyway.
It's like
So we
Bob
get.
Seger or something like
No, no,
that,
no, no,
right?
no, 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 no. Somebody's got to help me out. Is that, and I'm having a brain fart right now. But so I go to this concert, and you kind of had listened to some of the music or whatever, and I was like only like 16 or 17 years old, and um, so we get there, and we're like kind of fans, but you ain't heard nothing. And he played all closet classics from like it was Neil Young. Thank you,
Neil
Neil
Young,
Young.
okay.
So I went to go see Neil Young, and I was like 17 years old probably, and we were having fun. We were partying. We go there, and yeah, he didn't even play "Rockin' in the Free World." He played all like closet classics. So we were at the concert, and we were excited, and it was fun. But basically, that's like going and seeing the biggest star and them not playing the song they're most known for.
Right.
And
Exactly.
that's what happens when you announce that the players like you're not gonna play your guys in the fourth game. So
Or like if
what
you ever
then?
go to like a old school R&B singers concert and they can't sing anymore, so they just let the crowd sing the whole time.
Oh, that would
Exactly.
be so bad. Hey, I
Okay.
just want to mention this. Legacy Lines, Lynn, she tweeted earlier that she was pulling for David Fulker, but she said, I too am ready for that experiment to be over. Wish him well. So I think as a consensus, most Panther fans were over him. And we're looking
He'll be
forward to
I was
that.
fine. He has free health care.
I
Exactly.
was over. I was over him when we signed him. Shit, he was one of them guys that made me think for sure if he's in the NFL, I got a chance.
Right. Like, man, I really could have
I
played.
got it. Shut. Oh no, no, no. Okay. Let me ask you this then. If we can't say that there's nothing that the Stars aren't playing in the fourth game, and we all know that that's what the case is, what can we see then out of this last game? We don't expect the
Uh,
Panthers to play their guys money. What do we as fans or even the coaching staff? Can they see in a game like this?
I know they're saying it's at least 7 roster spots still up for grabs. So definitely seeing that. I want to see the Cameron Artist Payne and Brandon Wager battle more. I want to see y'all boy Bird one last time. So if he stinks it up, I don't have to hear y'all when he gets cut. Uh, want to see Kyrus Garrett to see if he's gonna make the practice squad.
He has. He's got
Um,
to.
I don't know, man. He's got the size.
exactly. He's
So inconsistent.
he's having he's been having drop problems, and if you're a
Yeah.
possession receiver with no speed, you can't drop
You
passes.
gotta catch everything.
It's sort of like Burson versus Bird. Bird can drop more passes because he has more physical gifts.
Right.
Burson can't drop anything because his whole thing of why he makes the team is he catches
He can
everything and he
catch
knows all the
everything.
positions.
Right. And that was an ugly drop for him in that game against the Pats. I mean, it wasn't an easy catch, but it was a catch.
It's a catch we see him make a lot of times.
Yes, it's a catch he should have made because he's done it in the past. And Cam put that in a very good spot, or whoever threw it put it in a very good spot. And he should have made that.
Yeah.
And
Other than that, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, another position I'm interested in seeing sort of work itself out is middle linebacker because we have some really talented middle backers there. You know, we've got Klein, and then we've got Jacob, I think his last name is, or Jacobs,
Mayo.
and
Mayo.
then
Jacobs.
Mayo. Yeah, so we've got some talent back there. I want to see who out of that group makes the squad.
Is there any opportunity, if we know that Gettleman is interested in moving and shaking a little bit this season, is that potentially a place where you may be able to offer a guy, look, Mayo has looked good. So what if you were able to offer Klein to somebody for potentially and a pick for maybe a defensive end prospect or something like that? Would that be unheard of?
In real life, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think nobody's gonna trade for Klein.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
You
I
know,
don't
they
think
might.
he's showed enough on
Everybody
tape.
always
And I don't
says
think
they could start on another team.
Well, he
That's what everybody always
could.
says.
He could. I believe he
I don't think
could.
he has the physical gifts, and that's why I would put Mayo above him. Klein knows our defense better just because he's been there longer. But as far
I
as
like
like
Mayo.
being able to
Mayo
go
looks good,
sideline to
don't he?
sideline and in
Mhm.
pass situations, I think Mayo is better.
I
All
I
think I
don't think
right,
agree
nobody's
with
so
gonna trade for Klein right now. If that was gonna happen, it would have had to happen already. I don't think nobody's gonna decide less than we're like a week from week one. Oh, I want AJ
yeah, like
Klein
all
right
of a
now.
sudden they're gonna good point. And they'll be like, and he's starting and he's gonna fix our problems. Good point. All right, I believe that, man. So we're there. All right, so then how about this? Is that what's going on in Denver? Because they say that I heard somebody pick against. I was on actually I was a guest on a podcast last night, and this one guy who's a Saints guy, of course,
Of
he
course.
picked Denver to win against the Panthers.
Surprise, surprise.
What does that even mean? Do you think in any case, all right, so we're looking 2 weeks down the road, there's going to be a lot of cuts. We are going to go, I saw something today, Joey, where we play what's the Denver's kid's name? The
Oh,
Northwestern guy.
Simeon,
Simeon, yeah. And
Trevor
then
Simmons.
Travis
we
Simeon
play,
or something like that.
basically we play, and then I think also we were supposed to play Minnesota, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
Teddy
And we have their
Bridgewater went
backup
down.
now.
So
Sean
I
like
tweeted
Taylor.
that.
the first 5 games. Tell us, T Money. Do you remember the names on that list?
5. I don't know. First 4 I tweeted out earlier is Trevor Simeon, Blaine Gabba Gabba, Sean Hill, and Matt Ryan. So anybody who's worried about our secondary, I think that's a good first 4 to get your secondary right, get the feet wet.
All right. So look at this. Is that on YouTube they're talking about potentially they're offering up DA to Minnesota for a defensive end.
That was going to be what I wanted to talk about tonight.
We are not gonna trade Derek Anderson.
Joey, tell us
Ever.
why. What do you want to talk
What
about?
I thought was if we could get a fourth round, like a third or fourth round pick for him, why wouldn't we do it? Because he is one of the better backup quarterbacks in the league. And we saw him play twice last year where he led us to wins in both games. And
We've had this conversation for how many years?
yeah, he's been on the team like 5 years.
And
At
every
least.
year at some point
Y'all
have this
say,
exact
can we
conversation.
trade Derek Anderson?
Every damn year we say the
Exactly.
same thing.
Every year, towards the end of the preseason, Can we trade Derek Anderson for a tackle? Can we trade him for a running back? Can we trade him for a
Yeah, we
wide
said, how about
receiver?
this?
When
How
it was
about this? I saw
2014.
this today. I saw this on Twitter. Someone said, and they went even further, and I like this one. Can
Here
we
we go.
trade Joe Webb to Minnesota?
Exactly. We got a better chance of giving Joe Webb back to Minnesota than
The
Derek
reunite,
Anderson.
you know? All right.
That's not a bad idea. But see, I don't think that the Vikings would go for that. I think they'd be more.
I mean, it's not
inclined
the
to do
same
the
coaching
Anderson
staff.
trade.
Do you think the
Yeah.
Vikings
For what?
really? Well, here's the thing. Honestly, you are this, we may want to diminish the trade for Derek Anderson talk, but if you are the Vikings, let's take Derek Anderson out of it. Let's talk about this. What are the Vikings going to do now? Sounds like a really serious injury, a dislocated knee. That probably means torn ligaments. Wouldn't you think, Joey?
Well, they
You talking
said
about Bridgewater?
dislocated knee.
Nah,
and
Bridgewater
a
is
torn
ACL.
They said a potentially
done for years.
dislocated knee as well.
Yeah, so I saw a dislocated knee, right?
Yeah, in addition to the ACL.
In addition to the ACL. The ACL
Yes.
is done. It's a wrap for him.
That's for sure.
It is? Okay. All right. So, what do you do if you're the Vikings then? Do you make this? Do you completely?
I think they're gonna rock with Sean Hill. Sean Hill's a pretty good backup.
He's 16 and 18 in his NFL
Okay,
games.
but
16 and 18.
I mean, but he also has
Sean
the
Hill?
best
How old is
undrafted.
he? How old is
God.
he?
He's in his 30s.
Yeah, it's like a 30,
He's in his 30s.
probably 32 or
When he was with the
33
Lions, he was pretty
for a
good.
long time. Legacy Lines, Lynch, he says, wow, trade the A. The fact that he is one of the better QBs in the league is the very reason the Panthers should keep him. I do understand that, but if you can get a good draft pick for it, or maybe even a good draft pick and a player, or 2 good draft picks, why not make the move? You got Joe Webb back there, who has been coming on. You know, he's more like
Derek
Cam.
Anderson burnt that starting quarterback job when he had that press conference with Cleveland.
Can I point out one thing, Joey?
Please.
Is that when you said trade him for a 3rd or a 4th round pick, right?
Mm-hmm.
We also just traded a 3rd or 4th round pick for a punter.
That's why I'm saying we could get it back.
Right.
That's why I'm saying we could get the pick back by doing that.
Every
Okay.
GM's not as confident in their job status as Dave Gettleman.
I guess that's really true too. I just think
Like, how much flack do you think the Bucks GM has been getting every day since Roberto Agoyo has been missing all them kicks?
On YouTube, the guys are talking about this. Is that say you could get something from Minnesota?
Mhm.
They say I've seen starting defensive end twice, but I don't even know who that guy is.
Oh my!
You know what I'm saying?
God.
Like I don't even know who that dude is.
For them,
Yeah,
they've
Like,
got some
y'all-
good defensive linemen.
y'all tell me
You
their name.
you surely not getting Everson Griffin for Derek
Right.
Anderson.
No. That's why I think a pick is a better solution. You're not going to get a starting defensive end for Derek Anderson. I don't think the value's there. Our boy Esoteric Cranium on Twitter, Ocean Drive Slim, he says he thinks they should go get Geno Smith from the Jets.
Who?
The
Minnesota.
Vikings, yeah.
Well,
They're gonna rock with Sean Hill. Anybody who wants to doubt that, we can put bread on it right now.
Well, I think, this far into the preseason, yes, but that doesn't mean that they still won't go make a move if,
You
it's
gotta
not working
remember,
out.
it's the Vikings. They made the playoffs with Christian Ponder.
And they are a run-first team, much like ourselves. I think they were the only team that ran it more than
yeah,
we
but
did.
they were about to be good with Bridgewater.
Yes, I agree. They were taking that next
They were
step.
thinking about this year with Bridgewater maybe trying to win the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, Zimmer ain't no joke.
Now I think they'll still be a playoff team.
Hill is 34 years old.
There you go.
Kid,
That's
so, I mean, that is old. I mean, but that
Mhm.
dude, like he's been sucking on every backup as a backup the whole time.
He has.
I mean, it's not like you can't really think that you're gonna win like that. In fact, you can't even barely think you're gonna win with Teddy Bridgewater yet. It's not like you even know that that's guaranteed. You know, if he was healthy, it's not like you just like, oh, Minnesota's going to win the NFC Championship.
Right. Well, I mean,
even if he was healthy, and now there's the best guy at that position isn't like how good are the actual prospects when you don't have a quarterback that you have any faith that could be competent.
Right, exactly. I mean, you look, he only threw 14 touchdowns last year, but he did a really good job of keeping the pace of the offense, you know, throwing it to the guys that were open, not turning the ball over too much. So, you think you're going to get that from Sean Hill? You think you're going to get 14 touchdowns from him? Maybe. The question is, how many turnovers are you going to get with those 14 touchdowns? That's what you got to look at. You know, and Bridgewater has some pocket mobility, where how mobile is.
I
Sean
like
Hill.
Bridgewater. I think he's been great. You
I
know,
know.
I mean, when I say great, I don't mean like he's been like just burning it up. But if you think about the kind of discussion that surrounded him coming out of college, he went way low compared to guys that sucked.
He was like the last pick of the first round, I think. In that year, he was
He's been
drafted.
pretty good. Like, you got to give him a man credit for not stinking.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. All right, so Joey, next week when we come back here, we're gonna. So the game. When is the game against the Patriots? What night of the week?
That game against the Patriots was on Thursday, Friday.
Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, it was on Friday, I think, last week.
No, the game against the Steelers.
The Steelers? Thursday night.
All right, so in like 2 days, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when we meet back here on Tuesday night, there's going to be a lot of hurt feelings.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys that are not going to make the team.
Yes.
And let me just kind of finish, and we'll just talk about one last question. We'll get to the ISO picks because, like I said, I just got home like 18 minutes before the show. I mean, I'm about to literally fall asleep on the show. So, overall feeling when we come back on Tuesday, Joey, as we make the roster cuts, is this something that we feel when we get to that 53-man roster? Is your overall feeling one of optimism or concern at that moment? You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to be here next week on Tuesday, and we'll have 53 guys, I think, right? By that point, we should know what's going to be going on. Do you think, are you going to feel really good with those 53, or do you think you'll be a little nervous? Because I think I'm going to feel fantastic. At the end of the day, I think this is that who cares who our safety is? Cam Newton is our quarterback.
I want to read this tweet from Just Joan at Joan PZLS. She said, I just want to hear Joey say y'all's handles. She likes to hear everybody's Twitter name.
Okay.
She likes hearing that. I think I'll be concerned about a couple of positions, and I think that's just my nature. You know, okay. I'll be concerned about a few positions. I feel like we'll be okay. But I'm sure there'll be a position or two that I want to see, in action, so to speak.
Okay. Money, when we get to that 53, you're going to be feeling good heading into the 2016 season. You're right, aren't you? You never waver in confidence.
Ever. Don't I walk into every game, every season, confident as long as y'all know
Win
me?
19-0. You know what? There's really nothing to be. I mean, there is, I guess. Like we're kind of. Do you think? All right. How
Again, we
about
don't
this?
do a lot
Let
of
me ask you
we
this:
don't
Will
do a
we have
lot of
signed a
tricky
safety?
stuff.
Will we have signed a safety or by next Tuesday?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got
Yes, I
to.
think so.
We've
Not
got to.
not because we have to. I just think
What?
Dean
Yes, we
Marlowe,
do.
when you're dealing with when you're dealing with a hamstring, it's kind of touchy feely. Like
Hmm.
And
there's
Marcus
no way
Ball's
to make a
not very
hamstring
good.
really heal faster.
Marcus Ball's not good. All right, so look, we got to wrap things up. I'm so tired. I can't even make it to the end. Joey, we've got to. We got to get our ice up picks of the weekend. All
Yes,
right.
we do.
Um.
I'm going for low-hanging fruit.
All right, go for it.
All right, ice up picks, guys. This isn't about making a statement. This is about respect, and respect is something that should be given to um, respecting an object. I guess is what I'm trying to say. In particular, the American flag. Um, I
Oh
think
God.
I'm not going to talk about whether or not I think what Colin Kaepernick is doing is right or wrong. I'm just going to say that my father did 20 years in the Marine Corps. My father was in at the very tail end of the Vietnam War. And I know he knows people who went and never came back. He knows fathers, brothers, husbands of wives who never got to see their families again. And this goes back to, our very founding our nation as founding our nation as a country. People died for that flag. It's not the flag doesn't represent necessarily where we are as a country today as much as it does how we've become the country we are today and who and what was sacrificed to be the country we are today. And I think that in and of itself is deserving of the respect for you to stand up when the flag is raised. Um, and that's all I have to say about the topic is when that flag is raised, you should stand up for who gave up what so that you can protest any way that you like. So for anyone who feels differently and that the flag isn't worthy of respect, I say to you, ice up.
All right, T Money, you ready for your ice up pick of the week?
Uh, yeah, we got to talk about that off air though, Joe. Uh, uh my ISO pick. Let me think. One silly one. Mark Sanchez. ISO. How do you lose your starting position to Trevor Siemian? First of all, got drafted in the seventh round. Second of all, went to Northwestern. Third of all, his best year in college. You know what his stats were?
It was like 10 touchdowns and 9 interceptions or some crap like that.
11 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And you
Yeah,
lost your starting spot to that man? Mark
and
Sanchez, go ahead and high five.
he's only completed 4 passes in the preseason or some mess like that.
Exactly.
All right, so
So
that's
Mark
your silly
Sanchez,
one.
go ahead and nice up. And the more serious one, Teddy Bridgewater, man. Even as a fan of another team, man, you never want to hear about that happen. The two biggest words you never want to hear when somebody get hurt is non-contact.
Yeah.
Because that
That,
is the two worst words you can hear as a fan of football when it comes to dealing with any of your players getting injured, man. Because no contact injuries are almost always serious, are
Really?
almost always season ending.
mm-hmm.
So, I mean, prayers out for Teddy Bridgewater. Heal fast, man. Come back next season, ready to play, man.
Oh man. I didn't well, that's an interesting note about the way injuries, uh, how you can gauge some of that just from hearing the words. All right, my ice up pick of the week goes to Britt McHenry or some whatever that chick's name is, that blonde hair girl who yelled at that
Chris
member
Brown
of
put a gun in her head.
she got her car got towed, and then she yelled
Oh,
at
she
that lady and
slipped
was
out.
like, "I'm
Yeah.
on the TV."
Oh, okay.
And then so she also is covering crap for ESPN. She was at Panthers camp, and you saw pictures of her with Kelvin Benjamin and stuff like this, and like so somebody on Twitter last night put up this. They said Britt McHenry greater than David Newton. And I said, sorry, I'll pass. Like, because I just don't like her because, like, she was such a craphead in that moment. Like, I just don't even want to be around her. And so anyway, this goes from, I just said, I'll pass, I'll keep David Newton. And then somebody said, why would you do that? Like, what you got against her? And I just put that video up, and I was like, this is what I got against her. She just sucks, like, as a human being. And then all of a sudden, this turned in, I think my phone, like, I was going to bed. It was like this point of the night, and I hadn't checked it for a while. So then I turn on my phone, Joe, and these two cats are defending Britt McHenry, or whatever her name is. And like, you shouldn't be talking junk about her, and she's got a double master's and this or that. And then they mentioned her, and supposedly all of this happened when I hadn't checked Twitter. Anyway, I got blocked by Britt McHenry last night. And I didn't
Tony
even
Stay
mention
getting blocked by somebody.
I didn't even mention her name on top of this, and a lot of the discussion on Twitter is suggesting that the only way that she could have found this conversation if she happened to search her own name. And that is actually part of our argument against this individual. And she's that vain and cruddy that she would do that. So to you supporters out there who tried to attack me just because I said I'd rather have David Newton than Britt McHenry, and then, I mean, honestly, is that she tried to use her looks to get ahead, and that's fine.
Course.
That's fine. But here's the thing: you search your own name, you curse, you insult a person about their existence, and try to say because I'm on TV, I'm cooler than you. No, you're sucky. You were ugly, and so here, I'm blocking you from the C3 podcast right now with the ice up pick, Britt McHenry. All right.
Speaking of women that be doing that type of stuff, Pam Oliver, man, how the fuck is her hair jacked up already? She didn't even wait till the season to have jacked up hair, man.
The wind blowing.
Oh man, that is awful.
Okay, this is a C3 podcast. I'm not even playing I'm not even playing the music to get out of here, guys. T Money, tell us. Actually, I will. T Money, you tell us where that we can find your work. Where people can reach you.
Twitter is T Muhammad 23. The YouTube is Mr. T Money 1993. Where you can catch my podcast and my videos. I'm trying to get my speakers started up to start doing stuff on there.
And Mr. T Money 1990. I want to mention this, that Mr. T Money 1993 will be taking over as the host of the Southbound and Down podcast starting next Wednesday. Actually, we'll be kicking off the first show of the season. Mr. T Money, we're very excited about that.
All right. This is the C3 podcast brought to you by Carolina Cat Chronicles. You can check us out every Tuesday night where Panther fans unite and celebrate our team. We chop up the latest news and opinions from the fan perspective. Send us an email, shoot us a tweet, subscribe if you're listening, tell a friend. We'll see you next Tuesday night, Joe. Best wishes to everybody. I think Mel's coming back next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're out of here, guys, and thanks for joining us. Good night.
Good night.